This is Rafi Guzon, and you are tuned in to Nothing But That Sports Talk. It's 2-0 for the Philadelphia Eagles, and welcome to this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Rafi Guzon alongside Ryan Walker. How you doing this past week?
Busy, tired, busy, but it's good to be busy. Got a lot of work. Busy week in the NFL week too. So we grinding.
Yep, we're grinding indeed.
That's indeed. Definitely busy. But did some kid games on Wednesday at the Yes We Can Center in Westbury for the Bunky Reed All Stars Wednesday Showcase. Showcase was very good. They had a high school game, 9 and under, 11 and under, 13 and under. I got games literally today as we air. What are we 9/15, 2023, 1:42 in the morning. Also at Bunky Reed, outdoor courts. A couple games going on today. So Queens week also this weekend, H2O and those guys in the Bonus for Peace game. So I'll be out there with Slim and Voice Box to help out and do some emceeing. So I got a lot of things going on this weekend. Then Tuesday I'm going to the Liberty game. So hopefully that'll be a closeout game. So it's just been a real busy week, a lot of work as usual.
Yeah, speaking of, obviously I start off the show talking about the Eagles get another victory against the Minnesota Vikings, despite the fact that Kirk Cousins had about like 4 touchdowns on 364 yards. What are your overall thoughts? Was it more about the Eagles being better overall offensively or Kirk Cousins not having enough offense to win this game?
No, the Eagles are just a better team, period. One of my guys, the job was a big Eagles fan. I was like, yeah, you don't got nothing to worry about. I told them they'd win by 8 to 10. I was literally off to win by 6. But the Eagles, traditionally doesn't always mean anything, but the Eagles traditionally always beat the Vikings and usually handle them pretty well. Vikings are definitely better offensively and they were good offensively last year, but better defensively, better this year as well too. But I believe that Minnesota's 0-2 now, right?
Yep, 0-2 indeed.
0-2. So that is the whole microcosm with the Vikings sometimes. Like, listen, Kirk Cousins usually doesn't normally play. Well, this is Thursday night football, not Monday night football, so you get to hiatus there. And usually doesn't really do good in primetime games. He clearly played solid today. So going for almost 400 yards, 4 touchdowns is actually a phenomenal football play on any week. But the Eagles are just a better team. I don't think it was. That's why I thought it was key that Minnesota needed to win their first game, because this game right here, I knew would be a buzzsaw for them. And if I were them, it's very early in the NFL season with every team. I know we'll get into a conversation a little later, probably or sometime at the moment about my Giants and their performance, and that's a whole different story. But it's 17 weeks of football, and that's why with the NFL, you got to just be so. You got to be so stuck in the week at the moment. That Bill Belichick approach, because what one little play, one little thing can change so much for the NFL season. You see that with our other New York correspondents. The defense was phenomenal to give them a victory with the New York Jets. Where one or two plays can change your whole entire season, especially when you have the injury bug in this type of game. And the Vikings, I don't think will win that division. This is why I think the Lions are the better team. They'll be paying attention to that, to the Lions contest and the Green Bay contest, because I think Green Bay is going to compete very well this year. Like I said, I think Jordan will have his ups and downs, but I think he's a good young quarterback. He played very well last week. Somebody tried to tell me, he played against a pedestrian team. He still made throws. When young guys make plays, it's like we criticize it and say, he made plays. Some guys, as young players, develop in the first year. Some guys get it in the 5th year. Everybody's timetable is different. That the NFC North is going to be an interesting division. I don't know that the Vikings are capable of coming back from 0-2, but if the Lions or Packers go 2-0, that might be a big big uphill to battle. And I know the Lions are going to at least split with Minnesota. So it's just a credit to the Eagles. The Eagles are, in my opinion, and even though there are some other good teams in the NFC is kind of open. It's a little top heavy with maybe believe it or not with the Eagles and the Cowboys, and then of course the San Francisco 49ers. But after that, the NFC is very open, and anybody can get in there if they can play good football and have a good run. And yeah, the Eagles by far the best team in the NFC, and barring no crazy injuries, they might go back to the Super Bowl unless the Niners have something to say about it, or unless this might, I don't think so, but might be the Cowboys' time to finally make a Super Bowl. Who knows?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And let's not forget, again, I mentioned Kirk Cousins' numbers. He did do a lot with the touchdowns and yards, but he didn't really get enough rushing and receiving offense. Receiving outside of T.J. Hawkinson, Jordan Anderson, and K.J. Osborne. Those are pretty much the only offense that the Minnesota Vikings muster. My bad. I didn't mean to say Minnesota makes, but yeah, this is pretty much all they muster. The rushing offense is just non-existent. They only total 28 yards, and it's all credit to the Philadelphia Eagles defense on every single angle that Minnesota Vikings tried to approach it. And not to mention on the Eagles side, Jalen Hurts, he had one touchdown and interception, but he had a lot of help for the rushing attack. Jalen Hurts managed to get 2 rushing touchdowns, and DeAndre Swift managed to get one in 175 yards. Or Devontae Smith caught the only touchdown for the Eagles. So when I name everything, that will you think about?
No, listen, I'm a Giants fan. We see the Eagles twice a year. That's another team that we haven't beaten ages too. They're a complete football team. They went to the Super Bowl last year. Jalen Hurts had a phenomenal year. Could have won MVP as well too. Did he win MVP? No, he won MVP last year. But up there still, nonetheless. And almost won the Super Bowl as well too. So we know how complete their team is. Here's the crazy thing about the Eagles. And football is a lot more difficult with even players and free agency and money and economics, not like the NBA and MLB and so on and so forth. But the Eagles lost about 10 to 15 guys, or had 10 to 15 guys, I believe that was up for free agency. And they lost some guys and had to give away some guys. And with everything that they lost, they replaced in the positions all the way back, whether it was young core or talent or not, but they replaced the exact positions. So everything that they had holes with in the offseason, they filled it anyway. And with their program, how they're coaching, how they prepare guys, big shouts to, Nick Sirianni, as much as sometimes I think he's very smug and has really super adapted the mentality of the Philadelphia sports metropolis. He's a phenomenal coach, and the staff and everybody that he puts together, everybody's organized and prepared. And that's one of the things that I was saying to the guys in the back about the Giants and our performance. And like I said, we'll get into that in 1 second, is that the preparation was egregious. And the Eagles are always prepared. They filled all their voids. They have the experience from going to the Super Bowl and a bunch of core guys in the roster that know how to do that. They're hungry, they're prepared. They don't look ahead in the schedule. They know where they want to get back to, but they know it's a piece-by-piece process. And they got a lot of guys on their team that's still trying to prove stuff too, especially Jalen Hurts. We all know, most know that Jalen is the lead. We all know, but there's still, a lot of naysayers and people who always point out the negative rather than the super positive that he brings to the table. So it's all accredited to the Eagles. Nothing disrespectful against the Vikings. They could have had Randall Cunningham and Randy Moss. They probably still was going to lose this game.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Of course, Philadelphia does have the number of the Vikings once again. And for the second year in a row, they start off 2-0. Now, let's get to the New York Giants loss to the Dallas Cowboys. And obviously, this game had the Cowboys thinking they're gonna go to the Super Bowl. I had one fan saying that they're gonna go 17-0. I already got one fan interviewed Ashley Baker after picking the wins and losses for the Cowboys games. It came up to 13-4. But let me ask you something. As bad as the Giants' loss was last weekend, what were your overall thoughts?
It was just flat out just embarrassing. And I, you know, I was home, I was watching the game. My son was there with me this weekend, and when we always used to watch games together, we always watch Sunday football together. And we'll kind of drag this out, and it's so crazy now. Now it's the work times when I don't have to work on Sundays. But of course, the Giants' first couple of starts, like we play 8:20 Sunday night, we got a 4:15 game on Sunday, and we play Thursday night football on 7 or 8 o'clock. So now we're used to having the 1 o'clock games. So like we don't be hyped up already and got food and watch the 1 o'clock game. So we had to wait to 8 and drug out the whole day. I think we all just lost resolve. But I was gonna watch the game anyway. And he was on his phone and he was talking with his girlfriend and he was on social media. The kids they do 100 things all at the same time. So he would come back and watch the game, and then when the stuff was bad, and he was watching, it was bad happened, and he would just be like, "Yeah, I know you're pissed." So yeah, I'm definitely angry, but I'm controlled angry. Like I've seen so much foolishness over the excluding last season when they just played hard and found a way to make the playoffs and were successful. Besides that, the last 6, 7 years before that, and guys like you and other people, like I'm a real diehard Giants fan. Like I really love it and take it serious, but I'm so mature enough to know that you just bottle up emotions. Now you wonder why I picked them to go 7-10 last year. Because the years before that, they were bad. They didn't win over 6. They won 6 games one time in a
2017, they only won 6. In 2017, they won 3 games.
They were bad all those years before that, excluding last year going to the postseason. The Giants got a breath of fresh air with the coaching staff and different GMs. Things turned last year. But if they cannot find a way to split with the Cowboys and the Eagles, and if they play like that against the Cowboys, then we clearly know they have no chance against the 2 contests against the Philadelphia Eagles this year. And the next Cowboys game we play will be in Dallas, and that's more towards the end of the year. So they better, by then, become a better football team, which they have the time and opportunity to do. It's 17 weeks of football in order to try to get that. But here goes the glaring number. And it gets so unattractive for their fan base because we have nothing to shoot back at them, but we can't do anything about it until we can start getting some victories. We have lost to the Cowboys 12 out of the last 13 times. So anybody who doesn't know football and know math, you play your division team twice a year. So 12 out of 13 is the span of 7 to 8 years. They won one time, which was the 2000 contest that you had to tell me about. It was the only time of the last 13 contests to beat this ball club. So they are circling 2 wins every year. They see you, regardless. And not only that, they have the same kind of trend going with the Eagles. When the Eagles have won like the last 7 straight against the Giants, and they have a number where it's something like 11 out the last 13 or something of those realms. So, do you know how difficult it is to every year to put 4 losses guaranteed on your schedule? You only have 17 games now, which started 3 years ago. So it used to be 16. So if you circle 4 losses, that means you have to win all the rest of your games just to be 12-4. And it's difficult to go 12-4 in the NFL, correct?
Yep.
So your margin for error is slim. The years you don't sweep the Redskins, last year, hence with the tie, you make your life more difficult. And how long do you expect to dominate the Redskins forever before the pendulum gets swung on you? And now the Redskins are dominating you.
Well, correction, the Commanders.
I'm so sorry. I'm so used to the old school realms. And Washington. I'll say Washington because I don't really like saying that Commander stuff. But and that's no racial or derogatory term. We're saying the Redskins, not I'm saying them for no wrongs. Just so used to saying that name.
Hey, don't worry about it. I mean,
but Washington is you can't expect to dominate them forever. And with the that was just a horrible performance. The coaching staff, Brian Daboll, Wink Martindale, the special teams coach, everybody, the whole entire staff did terrible. They let the whole entire Giants team down. They need to do exactly better on that. I'm pretty sure practice and film session was intense this week. Everybody needs to lock in. I watched nothing of the press conference. I spoke to my guy in the back, and he was the one that said that Brian Daboll said this is totally on them. Of course it is. You guys were terrible. You prepared these guys wrong. You have to develop a battle plan on how you're going to defend the pass rush against the Dallas Cowboys. You have to. They attack the quarterback.
More than half of the points were scored on special teams. The block punt lead for the touchdown, the interception lead to a touchdown, and that's pretty much it. Defense special teams played a big factor. If you listen to my interview with Ashley earlier this week, I said this. The defense and special teams played a factor, and the Giants lost.
Well, clearly. And this is what's so scary. First drive, Giants get the ball. Giants are making plays. One with Saquon, progressive yards. One with Saquon, that breed of progressive yards. Daniel Jones runs out to make a play. A short little pass to make a play. I think there was like even a penalty that gave him some yards or something in there. They were moving the football, running and pounding the football. Pounding the football. Okay? And getting to the 2-yard line, basically, 2 to 3 yard line, off of pounding and running the football. And now this is eventually going to open up your pass. Just keep doing at it. You get to 3rd and 2. And boy, you talk about a nightmare. The nightmare on Elm Street started on 3rd and 2 for the Giants on the 2-yard line. I'll backtrack it for you. 3rd and 2, first of all, on the 2-yard line. Jesus Lord staff, offensive coordinators, Brian Daboll, everybody. What have we been working on? We're in camp for 42 weeks. Everybody was there. You're working on this. You're getting better at that. You got the new tech. Everything is good. You're 3rd and 2 on the 2-yard line. There's not that many plays to run. Run the football. You've been running every time to get down where you're getting to. Now, you take the longest to bring the play in. And of course, because of that, Andrew Thomas, the guy who got embarrassed last year by the Dallas Cowboys on national TV, the same group of gentlemen who vowed for that performance not to happen again and got better after that, became a Pro Bowler, I believe, or All-Pro. And it was highlighted in the paper this week. And his words was to vow to never have a performance like that. Gets a gets a false start penalty. The first time they start putting Michael Parsons in motion to line up on his side. And 3rd and 2 goes to 3rd and 7. Okay, now you're 5 yards backed up. 3rd and 7. Let's try to get in the end zone. Let's try to get close enough to a decent field goal. Right? Or we get close enough for a 4th down. 3rd and 7 turns into 3rd and yesterday as the rookie center, I'll say it again, the rookie center from Minnesota University, who I knew was going to have his growing pains, and against a front four like this, you need a good plan on how you're going to prepare, because they're going to prepare blitz packages to go at whoever they think your weakness is, Andrew Thomas, and your center, who's a rookie center, who's more so worried about not messing up the hike to snap than blocking schemes. Clearly, he couldn't do the hike to snap. It turns into 3rd and tomorrow. Now you line up your special teams with your kicker who missed 3 kicks last year. 1 because was a block, 2 just because of that. Made it to the Pro Bowl. Correct, right? Now, Brian, special team staff. You hired a new special teams guy, right? How in the heck on the first kick you have for the entire year of a field goal kick, that you line up and don't have a guy blocking the guy on the edge that runs a baited in to block the kick easy as day, like he's a part of the play, and then returns it to go score a touchdown. So you now have, and hold on for 1 second because I'm getting some food. Hold on. Sit tight. Yeah. So yes. So 37 turns into that. You got the unabated kicker, blocks it, goes down, and then everything after that was just snow going down the hill because you gave up 7 points when you should have had 7 points,
or at least 3 swing a field goal,
or at least some kind of offensive output, and give up a touchdown going back, and their offense hasn't even touched the field. Now you put your offense back out there and 3-and-out right away. Gave the Cowboys the ball. I think the Giants were managed to get the football back.
And then later on, at about the 2:22 mark, this guy named Daron Bland intercepts Daniel Jones and returns for a touchdown.
Returns for a touchdown. 14-0 on top of a kick they got. And you turn around, it's already a buzzsaw. You're already down before you could even blink. And you don't even give your defense a proper amount of time or energy or effort to even get into a groove because they're so down that they're already playing behind with the house of money. That was the worst coaching performance by the Giants since Daboll under their regime. They take that first. The players take it too. You still have to execute. What was going on with the blocking scheme? Daniel Jones was running for his life.
It's funny because Mike Tirico, who was doing commentary for the game, even said that Daniel Jones was running for his life in the first possession.
Running for his life. The first 15 plays, at least 12 of them, he had no time, no protection. So now that leaves you jumping. Now you're going to throw turnovers. They were terrible, and they had a bad plan to go against this football team. And you know, when you lose that bad in professional sports, blowouts are actually more tougher, more easier to deal with than close losses. So blowouts just mean you just need to get back to the drawing board. That was a good reality check. That Giants, you had a good year last year. You were 9-6-1. You went to the postseason. You beat a Minnesota team. You got beat up by the world champion. The NFC champions. Nothing to feel proud about. Good future to look for to build to as the next year. But that was a big reality check to say you haven't done anything yet. You haven't won this division. You haven't got there yet, and you still need some strides and goals to go. And you know, there should be no words we give to any Cowboy fan, as much as I hate that fan base. And then because when you play like that,
I already got Cowboys and fans of them and Sports After Dark already getting hype off that victory.
Of course. I mean, they could have beat anybody. They're going to tell you they're going to win the Super Bowl. And that's fine and dandy. Listen, I told you anyway, I got the Eagles 13-3, the Cowboys 11-5. With a max, they can get 12. And I also have us at 10-7. And that's even if.
Well, they already got their first loss, and you're wrong and you picked that one wrong. And that's only one.
Well, I picked that one. If you remember, you
did pick the New York Giants to beat the Cowboys in Week 1, but they lost.
Correct. You know, but you're giving emphasis to it, like I told you that the Giants have not beat the Cowboys for years. So with the aspiration of picking 10-7, I picked them 10-7 with the aspirations of that has to be the game you have to win because you definitely cannot win the game on the road at the end of the year. So now they have to pick up that to make my equation even look like it makes sense.
Mhm.
Hold on, Pete.
Yeah.
Guy's got to be a genius. He's dropping off coffee and Dunkin' Donuts to a staff member in the back in the lab.
Continue on with the. I mean, we can talk about.
I got you. You got to explain why we had to have the pause moment. And he doesn't even know how to get to the back. And I'm directing him, and the lady on the phone is saying, "Go to the back," and he's still like showing me the phone. I'm like, "Get in your car and drive to the back." But yes, nevertheless, there's nothing we can say to them. We got to take all the crap as arrogant and stupid as that. They're not going to win a Super Bowl, so who cares? But the Eagles should be 13-3. The Cowboys should be their cap is 12 to me. I see them as 11-win team, and the Giants 10-7. And like I said, I should have just went with what I knew. Where I knew they weren't going to beat the Cowboys in the first game of the season. I was hoping that talent and that difference would emerge, and they can get confidence in the game and sneak one out. But I didn't feel confident in that. They have to play way more disciplined and smart to beat a bad Arizona Cardinals team this week, which I expect them to do. And they'll probably most likely lose to the San Francisco 49ers 4 days after that in San Francisco. So they'll have their work cut out for them. I think they have Buffalo after that, and Buffalo's good, but clearly we see that if you play defense and manage to do it the right way, you have a great chance of beating the Buffalo Bills, especially since Josh Allen's another guy that's interesting with the turnover bug. So, hopefully they can complete 10-7, but I knew it was going to be very more difficult this year, especially with the schedule that they have. But like I said, there's 17 weeks of football, and that's why you just go, one game at a time.
Yep. Next up, the Arizona Cardinals, and obviously you picked them to beat the Arizona Cardinals in week 2. Don't worry, I'm keeping my notes. I'm keeping my notes intact.
100%.
Now
they're gonna have to try to change some of it.
Yeah. Now let's look at your week 1 picks from last week. I mean, and that's excluding the Lions and the Chiefs. Since the Lions already beat them and we already went over that game. You were, on NFL Sunday last week and includes the Monday Night Football game with the Bills and Jets. You came up to a total about 8-7.
Okay, it's average, yeah. Yeah.
What is their overall thoughts on your picks this week? I mean, I know you've been doing picks for the past few years, but this is actually the first time I'm actually taking notes on it, just to evaluate your knowledge of football after week 1.
Week 2 should be very interesting. I don't know all the games, but we'll figure it out.
Yep, we're gonna figure it out indeed. And speaking of all the games, this is a good idea to transition into. Well, when you exclude the Minnesota Vikings and the Philadelphia Eagles, let's make our picks for week 2. First off, the Falcons at home against the Green Bay Packers.
Green Bay.
Okay. Let's see. Week 2, okay. Las Vegas Raiders on the road against the Buffalo Bills. Yeah.
Wow. 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 Buffalo bounces back. Not by much. Barely. I'm still not believing 13-4 for the Raiders with the young lady, but I am opening my eyes and paying attention more to what what's the dynamic receiver? What's the receiver down there? Is it Adams? Down there with Jimmy G in the core. The Raiders did win first week. They only did win by 1 point to Seattle. I mean, excuse me, not to Seattle. Excuse me, to the Denver Broncos. I'm picturing Russell Wilson in a different jersey. to the Denver Broncos. The Buffalo Bills are a little bit better. Josh Allen's got to find a way to stop throwing the ball to the other team,
like he did against the New York Jets.
right? And,
We'll
and
get
remember that,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that, but let's get to
right?
our picks.
So I think I this is really tough for me because I really want to pick the Raiders. I have no faith in that 13-4 crap, but I really want to pick the I really want to pick the Raiders so bad because I'm so disgusted in Josh Allen's performance last week at quarterback. But I'm just gonna pray that he doesn't play like that 2 weeks in a row. Remembers the MVP guy that he was 2 years ago. They're back at home. Buffalo plays way better at home. The crowd will be pumped. I'm pretty sure they'll be even more motivated and angry that they really, in essence, they gave the game away against the New York Jets. But like you said, we'll talk about that more in depth. But so Buffalo, not by much.
Okay. Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Baltimore Ravens.
Ravens, and I'm damn Cincinnati. Damn Cincinnati.
They got smoked in Cleveland.
They always do. They started off bad last year too, and they got silly hot again. I don't know when they're gonna get hot again. But they didn't score any offensive points last week, and I like what Baltimore's doing, and I like what they got there offensively. And B-Moore's at home. I think Cincinnati's going on too, brother. I hope they prove me wrong and wake up. It's one thing when we don't score any points. We're a basic offense. You got the second best quarterback in the league and one of the top receivers in football. You got to score a touchdown at least.
Mm-hmm. Detroit Lions home against the Seattle Seahawks.
How the Lions are going to? You know how I feel about the Lions already.
Titans at home against Los Angeles Chargers.
The Chargers are winning this game. They bouncing back tough loss against a very good Miami football team. I mean, that game was going to be very iffy. Chargers not going on to. Johnson not going to do that. I ain't going to watch the football.
Tampa Bay Bucks at home against the Chicago Bears. Now, Tampa Bay did put up a strong effort last week.
Oh, I got Tampa Bay. Yeah, I got Tampa Bay. Sorry, Shotgun. Tampa Bay. And that's bad.
Okay, Tampa. Kansas City Chiefs on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Come back to me on that one, please.
Okay. Indianapolis Colts on the road against Houston, Texas. Now, granted, neither team did well last year, but the Indianapolis Colts did better. They tied with each other to begin the year, but let's be honest, Houston, Texas were trash at home. So, do you think the Texans end the home streak?
This might sound scary, and I don't even want to do that. I'm ready to pick these two teams at the top. They are that bad, but I have to figure out this. I guess the Colts, but I could see a tie going on here, really and truly.
Colts and Texans, well, they did tie last year, so it's not that hard to predict.
You can see deja vu.
Yeah. San Francisco 49ers on the road against the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, the Niners. Niners were 2-0.
York, let's see. Now you had the Giants win on the road against the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, barely.
The New York Jets against the Dallas Cowboys. Before we make our picks for this one, now let's just get more in depth on the New York Jets because that was a crazy come-from win on the eve of Aaron Rodgers injuring himself again with an Achilles tear and being out for the season. After all the hype built up with them coming to the roster, thoughts?
Before, whose home game is that?
Cowboys.
Cowboys are gonna win the game.
The Jets did beat the Cowboys 3 times in a row.
100%. This one might be a little different without Mr. Rodgers. Remember, Zach Wilson got to play the whole entire game, being part of the game plan now, not interfere, which is pretty much the whole entire game anyway, right? But This is why I always tell you that, and we always talk about it, just looking back, because I don't wish that on any man that would happen to Rodgers. Football's a very hard and unpredictable sport. You know, you always have the top dogs who you look at the beginning of the year, but then at the end of the part, you really don't know who's doing what's like week 14, 15, 16. That's really going to tell you the itty bitty because, you know, it's all about injuries, sustaining, playing through stuff as well, too. It's such a process with the NFL season. And that's why I was saying that. And listen, this is no poo-poo. First of all, the Jets took care of their business, unlike my Giants, and they found a way to get a win without their best talent at quarterback, presumed there per se, right? The defense was phenomenal, so big shout outs to them. And I was very impressed, and it was very joyful to watch them play defense and play start. I was rooting for them. I don't have any problem with the Jets. I just have the problem with the Jets. And I like Jets fans, but when they become so bitter sometimes, they have that Mets mentality. And so, Jets and Mets, they can be very unattractive. But I was rooting for them big time, and the defense played good. Whitehead was absolutely amazing as a young corner to make those 3 interceptions. He made great plays. Josh Allen made 2 of the most stupidest throws I've ever seen. Actually, really stupid throws.
Even though you did pick the Jets, even though you did pick the Bills to beat the Jets.
Correct. And I said I was hoping that Rodgers and them would be able to gel. Rodgers didn't even get that. But the Jets defense is really, really good. They have a really top tier, upper echelon defense, and that defense is going to take them really far. And just like it gave them opportunities last year, the defense made plays. The biggest thing now is how does Zach Wilson progress as a quarterback, and how does he play? Clearly he had a rough start. There was no intentions of him being the starter this year unless something like this happens. So with him not being in the main plans of things and him supposed to be an understudy and learn under Rodgers to maybe eventually be, hopefully, the guy they drafted and the heir apparent, it's all about how he's progressing. Defenses are going to cue on the kid and try to attack him and put him in situations based off how he did bad in the past. It's up to him to, like I was going to tell you, and we talked a little about that, but to make the naysayers angry and or put their foot in their mouth, per se. So he has to show and tell and prove that. I don't think he's capable of that this year now. He has time to progress and do so. He will have a great defense that will give him many opportunities to do so. And Brees Hall running the football, especially with the other young kids, they'll be able to run and pound the football. He has offensive targets. You just have to find a way to get the football to them. That, I think, will be their Achilles heel. That'll put them behind the 8 ball. That's why it's key that the Buffalo Bills do win this week. And they got to be careful. The Miami Dolphins are for real. So, big shout out to the Jets. And it's very unfortunate with Aaron Rodgers because you see that's how things go for 1 minute. Championship. Torn Achilles. Everything changes. You know what I'm saying? So, wish him a speedy recovery to get back. He definitely has aspirations of. He says he wants to come back and play in overtime. So we definitely need to see that. But that was unfortunate. I don't wish that on nobody. And I didn't even watch it at first. I heard somebody told me. As a matter of fact, my guy here, he's like, "Yo, they in trouble, man. You see him ready?" He said, "Honestly," he said, Rodgers." I said, "Damn, hope he come back." I ain't seen him come back the second and third. I'm like, and then when you hear the reports, they're like torn Achilles, like, "Oh, okay, season is over." So, but I got the Cowboys winning. They're at home. The Cowboys don't usually lose a lot of home openers. They'll be pumped up. They think they're the greatest thing since white on rice. You can't tell them they didn't win the Super Bowl. They beat the Giants 40. They're not. Like I said, that's not so crazy how somebody would be like, "Yo, the Giants think," but beating the Giants is like Plymouth Rock. They beat the Giants now. Now all of a sudden,
The Giants. The Giants on the rush attack is Saquon Barkley in a bag of chips.
Exactly. Now all of a sudden they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So stop the economy because they're winning the Super Bowl because they beat the New York Giants. Whoopsie. So But they're on a high horse. They had a big time win last week, a great deficit. They're feeling good about themselves. They have a very good offense. The defense played phenomenal. They'll get home. They'll be pumped up. The Jets defense will make it interesting for the Cowboys. They won't be able to just do what they want like how they did against us. And it's not even like the offense killed us. The defense didn't get enough chance to even get their feet wet to be able to make enough plays against the Cowboys with the way that the team put them behind with that deficit. So, but the Jets are a little more structured and solid and known on their defense right now. So they'll make it interesting for them. But I think the Cowboys will be able to move the football at least a lot more better than Josh Allen passing to the other team. And remember, they're big on Dak Prescott with not turning the ball over. This new West Coast offense that he's in under with Mike McCarthy calling the plays is more predicated to running the ball with Pollard in the backup and making smart throws and keeping himself out of those problematic situations. I don't see him turning the ball over as much as Allen did. Cowboys will win their home opener. Jets will fall to 1-1. This will make it a little interesting and go from there. But as much as I'm picking the Cowboys, if the Jets can take their defensive performance from last week, and if Zach Wilson can just be halfway adequate, they can win this football game. Let's go, Cowboys.
That's a fact. Yep. Let's go, Cowboys, indeed. Now, moving on with the discussion. Washington Commanders on the road against the Denver Broncos.
Commanders. Yeah, I like Washington in this game. I do. I might be crazy. I like Washington. Denver still got to prove it to me. Russ, they let me down last week. Washington is gritty. They'll play close. They can score just as much points as them. Washington goes on the road to Denver. They're going to win this game.
Miami Dolphins on the road against the New England Patriots.
Dolphins. Speed is going to be a racetrack.
Yeah.
Sorry, New England.
Then we get to the Monday Night Football matchup. The New Orleans Saints on the road against the Carolina Panthers.
New Orleans Saints. Very good game, though. Mm-hmm. Very close, good game. Carolina is going to play tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Cleveland Browns on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Cleveland Browns. Even though the Steelers traditionally own them, I didn't like what I seen offensively last week from Pittsburgh.
They were going up against Brock Purdy's 49ers. Brock Purdy doesn't lose in the regular season. Of course, that has to come to an end eventually. They're on the road against Los Angeles Rams, but I'm going to share a break with you and pick the 49ers to win that game. So,
yeah, I like the Cleveland Browns. I think they're going to be able to pound the football. They play better defense. I don't like what I see offensively now going on with Pittsburgh. They don't leave me confident enough. They can't score 20 plus points. They don't have a chance to beat the Cleveland Browns. Browns win the game.
Yeah, they don't indeed. Now on to the final topic of this episode.
Well, no, I got to go back to Kansas City and what a tough pick. You said Kansas City against.
Oh yeah, Kansas City Chiefs on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars. You didn't make that pick.
I'm going Kansas City because I just don't see them going 0-2. But I'm on record. I like the Jacksonville Jaguars. I really like Lawrence Etienne at running back. They got some speed guys on offense. But I just don't see KC going 0-2. So I'll pick Kansas City for that one. And for the record, I definitely had Philadelphia beating the Minnesota Vikings, but we were on record to get the Thursday night pick, so that one is invalid.
Yeah, that's a fact. Now, let's just get to the very next topic of this episode. And we focus on the WNBA Playoffs, which got underway early this week. And yeah, the start of the playoffs was kind of predictable and egregious at the same time, with the Aces blowing out the Chicago Sky 87-59. to the Connecticut getting shutting out the Minnesota Lynx, holding them to 60 points. It's slightly better than the Chicago Sky, but yeah, it's just predictable. Too predictable.
You know what? We got the
90 to
Aces
be
going.
exact between Connecticut and Minnesota.
You know where we got the Aces going. And you know we love some Chicago women's soccer. But this one's a tough uphill battle. So that's what we expect the Aces to do. I expect them to close that series out in the next game. And Connecticut, same thing about you. Everything's going the way it should be predicated on. But I know you and me, without being biased, the only playoff game I'm worried about is the one today. That's going to happen on Atlantic Avenue at the Barclays Center. So, and game 2, I cannot wait to be in the building for what hopefully ends
First
up
playoff
being
game in a while. But we already, I talked about, but if you want my thoughts on New York Liberty and the Mystics matchup, let's check out my interview with Jet Mago Chetty, which will be published later. But yeah, it's besides. Oh, you know what? Matter of fact, we gotta talk about this because when you was on the phone with me, that was a typical loss for New York Liberty to end the regular season. It was a phenomenal regular season. It just hurts. It just
that was a
shattered
bad
my
loss.
confidence. It just shattered my confidence with the Liberty getting past the Mystics this time around.
Well, you know, they got to use that as fuel. First of all, the Mystics have played them pretty well, and like I said, Ella's always made it interesting against Bree. They both have with their matchups over the years, and but I don't like what I think Washington is trying to get mentally over the Liberty. I think the Liberty need to make sure they look in the mirror and remind themselves, say, hey, the Mystics is good. And we respect them. They're a solid ball club. They got some players. We're the better team. And we got to come out here and play that and damn show that and cut the crap out and do what you're supposed to do, which is the road to go to the WNBA Finals. So I don't like what I see, but I hope that's a reality check. Sometimes you need better to have the loss now than to have it today. So let's make sure 20,000 people and change flood Atlantic Avenue. Make that the loudest place. There should be no sporting event in New York today that is more louder than Flatbush Ave and Atlantic Avenue.
Except for the Nike World Basketball Festival that I found out that they're doing this week, which is taking place in Lincoln Center for those of you that are interested. So some of the top high school Coopers play before they have to play their regular season games, of course.
If we cheering about baseball in New York,
I'm talking about basketball.
Who play basketball tomorrow?
The World Basketball Festival put together by Nike at the Lincoln Center. And sadly, some of the games are going to go on until around the time of the Liberty and the Mystics. So
that's fine.
It's a 2-day. Always... It's a 2-day event. So if you don't get to staff for the New York Liberty, don't worry about it. You'll get to catch some of the consolation games and the games that matter the most throughout Saturday. It's on the 15th and 16th at Lincoln Center. Be there.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. No, this is love you, Nike. Great, good job, but ain't nothing more gonna be important than 7:30 p.m. at Barclays. Period. In the city, and they Nike do a lot of events. 7:30 p.m. Atlantic and Flatbush. That's where the movie's at. We need 20,000 and change. Support the home team and the ladies women's basketball and what the Liberty got going. It's probably the best opportunity that we're gonna have for any New York team in this year to win a title realistically. So let's go out and support, and hopefully the Liberty can get out that mental funk from Washington, play a solid game, give them their best foot forward, and get a victory tonight so that we have a closeout game on Tuesday. And I see that closeout game live and in person. And I can't wait. I got my tickets here lined up. The only reason I'm not going today is because I got to announce games for the Monkey Reed League for the kids. And I'm going to try to go catch overtime work. And I got Queens Week to do all weekend. So I'm going to be physically beat. So that's why once Queens Week ends Sunday, I'm gonna watch the rest of football and stay with my lady, get a good rest, stay with the kids. Monday, I'm staying in all day with the kids. I'm gonna take them to the park and just relax. And borrow my lady, we all go listen to eat. And because I want to sleep good that night. It's when I work 7 to 3. Once I leave work at 3 o'clock, I'm going home, changing my gear, and I'm down over there by Barclays. If you want to come down and meet me beforehand and you go to Shake Shack and get a burger or something like that, burgers on me. If you want to grab me one, come down.
If you're talking about yeah, don't forget. Let me remind you, you're gonna be seeing this in the background when you go down there. You saw you see this? You seen this, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
All right, but back to the
yeah. Yeah, look at all those studs. Oh man, no, wait a minute. I'm sorry, I forgot to look at Laney, Nina. Oh, look at Dawson, aka Sabrina Dawson, shooting threes from the parking lot now. Dude, look at Stewie, your hands. Look at these girls are good. I love this team. God, they so good. They gotta win the title, man. They gotta win the title. These girls are good. Darnell Jones and all them. I'm all
and
right
I'm
with
keeping
this
it for the entire
team.
playoff run. Just know that. But anyways,
Yeah, keep that up there, man.
it's to be expected. We talk about how good the Aces are going to be so many times throughout the year. So blowing out the Chicago Sky is no surprise. Minnesota Lynx getting smoked 9-60. Connecticut is no surprise. Alyssa Thomas having a phenomenal year, leading the league in triple doubles, leading the league in assists and rebounds. It's all comes, and even Cheryl Reeve, as I spoke to her in the press conference, says she knows the team can play better than this. In fact, the one win the Minnesota Lynx did get against the Connecticut Sun all last season was in Connecticut. So she knows they can play better than this. When I ask her about Nafisa Collier and Kayla McBride they combined for about they combined for about 30 points, by the way. Everybody else ain't really too much. And she knows that the team can play better than this. Cheryl Reeve knows this. And if you don't believe me,
against the wall.
If you don't believe me, just listen to this quote that I got from her after speaking to her in the press conference earlier this week.
Diamond and Dorka, I mean, I don't think the atmosphere was anything they weren't, sort of used to. They both have played at a high level, and we've been in arenas. I think it's more just I don't necessarily think that, Connecticut did anything they didn't do in the regular season. I just, for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe the idea that it was a playoff game. I don't know. I can't speak to, why we just look like we weren't ready to go to another gear. Do we have another gear? We're going to have to find that out about ourselves, because that's what's necessary. That's what we talk about a lot. That's what we talked about with Diamonds. We talked about Dorka. Really as a team, this team hasn't experienced this together. So that was a lot of learning going on in that game that we're going to have to try to, we have to have some solves and be much better in the next 40 minutes. That's a great thing about this. I mean, I know it's cliche. It's it's our minds. It's a 120-minute series, and for 40 minutes didn't go very well. We've watched a lot of NBA games, WNBA games, where somebody gets smacked by 30, and then the next game that they play, the same team that just won by 30 loses by 30. That can happen. That can happen to anybody, right? So the highs are high in a playoff series, and the lows are low, and so we're low, and obviously Connecticut is high. And so that's the beauty of a series, is the ups and the downs, and just even throughout the game. And so we're on to the next 40 minutes. That's our mindset, and we'll see if we can be better.
Yeah, with everything Cheryl Reeve in the conference this week, what are your thoughts?
Well, she's right. You take that game, you bottle it up, you watch the film, but you throw it in the trash. You got to move on to the next one, especially now that the back's against the wall and you see a die. So you know, the same thing I'm thinking, you know, we're keeping on the top. You ever say like the Giants football, you know, you lost 40-0, it's bad, the game's over, you move on. That's 6 days to prepare for the next one to change some of the narrative. Same thing with WNBA. It's the playoffs. We know the series format. So with that being said, their backs against the wall. They have nothing to lose. I would play so scrappy and so gritty. And you know, if they can get one, that's the scary thing about the first round. And we're seeing this now with us, where you know, at one point we were the team that was the hunter for that. Remember, we were in a position last year, I believe, right, where
Yeah,
we
we
won
had
the road
just
game against
yeah,
somebody.
it's an upset the Chicago Sky after winning game 1.
Right. And we had an opportunity to close, and Chicago was very triumphant, and then that brought the game back to where the did we have a home game in that series?
Yes,
Yes,
we did.
right?
Yeah, we did.
Because
They brought it back. They blew about like 164, I believe. And then after that, we get to game 3. They actually got blown out the last minutes.
right. So
But that's what shows you that talent discrepancy and experience played a factor in that series. Now
in that series.
you get this roster in the back, and they're ready for anything.
Those girls did. And they ready to get off that BG, that Q train, that railroad right there. They don't even understand how great that picture is. Once you come up the stairs right there, you see those blue lights, Barclays Center. You take your ticket in and sit in that building. Great place, great picture, great product placement for them. That's why it's big on us, Liberty. The Liberty have to win their game tonight, so you don't put yourself in that pressure situation that you have to win a game to at home, because it could be a closeout game for the next team, and then you travel on the road. Going to Washington is not what they want to do, in my personal opinion. But the same thing with Minnesota, backs against the wall. You have to win this ball game. You have to play scrappy. You have nothing to lose. Dive on the floor, look for every loose ball, and one performance can definitely change the next performance. So let's see. You know, they all have their big games coming up.
I'm at least hoping that we get some close games, because the first night of the WNBA playoffs was literally egregious.
Yeah.
But it's to be expected.
Score-wise.
Then again, Aces are the team. The Aces are in the Connecticut Sun, or the teams that are expected to get to the next round anyway.
Right.
But let's just hope that the bottom teams can play better. And yeah, and we also can't forget about the Dallas Wings and Atlanta Dream. Now, Enrique Gumbawale, she'll finally get to play after not being able to play in the postseason last year, or most of last year, in the loss to the Connecticut Sun. Now she finally gets to play her first playoff home game against the Atlanta Dream team, who are back in the playoffs for the first time in a while, led by Ryan Howard. What can we expect from this series between the Dream and the Wings?
This is going to be a very good series. One buzzsaw going to take out the Nets. I wish they would just take Atlanta out, so we don't got to worry about that buzzsaw. But this is a good. This to me is the most evenly matched up first round series where these are two potential teams that have potential to go to the finals. No joke. As much as we love our Liberty, we know Connecticut is really good. Atlanta can. They got some things going on that team. Gray and Howard, and Dallas. We know the capability of Dallas. Has pulled off the victory against Las Vegas this year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
They beat us. They can beat the top teams, and there can be a buzzsaw. And as much as we're talking about the teams that we love, Liberty, and we know Dallas can win the WNBA Finals. That's neither here
I'm
nor
a big
there.
Enrique Gumbawale fan, so I would go for that. I would go for that. That's my consolation prize if Liberty don't get it done. I'm a big Enrique Gumbawale fan, so
they can win the whole thing. I'm on board with what you got. So this is going to be a riveting series. If you don't want to see a blowout, that's the one you need to tune into today. That's going to be box office.
I got the Dallas Wings win the series, but I'm not sleeping on the Atlanta Dream. This team is
box office series.
This team has the potential to actually get to the finals. Maybe not this year, but in the future. They're built from the
If
ground up. They added a laser gray. Sorry, that's what she pronounced Alicia Gray or something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Put it like this, brother. They might not be built to win now, but they still can make a run. Kind of like Miami. Miami might, but they made a run. Let's suppose I don't want none of this to happen. If the Liberty lose, right, and Atlanta wins their series, you don't think Atlanta could beat Connecticut?
Atlanta could beat Connecticut. They could.
You don't think Atlanta could beat Washington?
They could beat Washington. They proved that.
So they got the potential this year to go. They can go to the finals. It's all about how all the cards align. Remember, a couple months ago, none of us thought Miami would go to the finals. None of us. Maybe not even then. At one point, you get creamed by Atlanta. You come back, you win your next playing game. You find a way to beat the Bucks. You beat the Knicks. You beat the Celtics. You're in the finals. Atlanta can get to the finals. Would they probably most likely do it? Maybe not. But if it all depends on how everything goes with these next couple of matchups. So this is key for today with us, the Liberty. They got to come out. That's why I said, no, listen, Lincoln Center is going to be great with the Nike thing. Is that high school or pro-am? That's pro-am or high school?
It's high school. Yeah, it's high school.
High school? Yeah. Man, listen, when it's 6:45, guys, 7:15, do me a favor. Get on the Uber or get on the train. The train will take you from 66th Street to Brooklyn in 20 minutes. And take your butt down to Atlantic and Flappers. We need 40,000 people.
Exactly. But then again, you see more than enough high school athletes, high school basketball to know hype that
all right.
a Nike organized high school basketball they could beat.
I'm getting in the cab and an Uber after the game. I got the last game is at 8:15. And it's a younger game, so we'll be done by 9 o'clock tops. I'll be in an Uber going back to the house because I'm going to catch the second half of the game.
Ooh.
So, it'll be good in WNBA Playoffs, but Dallas and Atlanta is definitely the best series in the first round. Must-see TV.
Must-see TV. I mean, yeah, the conflicting part about it is, the Dallas Wings haven't won a championship since 2008. Since 2008, they were the Detroit Shock at the time. The Atlanta Dream never won a WNBA Finals game, let alone a series and a championship. So it could go many ways.
That's right.
And now up in this episode, Nothing But That Sports Talk. Thank you for stopping by, Ryan Walker. For you, Rafiq Lewis on. We'll see you next time.
That's right. And in the game.